back, everybody. So here are my Chinese elm. I feel I've mentioned this a few times on the channel, but I've got this one from B&Q a couple of years ago now, actually. As you can see, it's bushed out a lot. I'm very happy with how it's all going, but the extensions are now kind of reaching a point where if I don't start controlling them, I'm going to get the growth that I don't want. So I'm already doing with the branch that I want to keep, I'm just kind of trimming back to either two sets of leaves. So as you can see, the kind of growth pattern is kind of opposite each other. One on the left, one on the right, one on the left, one on the right, kind of like that. So really I'm just kind of pruning back to, say if this is the beginning of the branch here, I'm pruning back to these first two here. The reason why I do that is just because obviously if you prune it all the way back to just two, like one pair, which you can do, but if that pair isn't that healthy, you can end up losing that whole bit of branch. And generally speaking, that's like either a half a year's or sometimes a full year's worth of growth, and you're actually keeping on the tree for ramification. So it's funny actually, because I took a picture of the leaves in this tree earlier. So I took a picture of a leaf from up here. Obviously these are quite big leaves, especially the new branch growing in, compared to some of the other leaves that I could find. So I call them like the medium-sized leaves, you know, the ones that are kind of on its branch here at the minute, which are still quite small. And then the smallest leaf I could find from the interior. Now obviously small leaves grow on the interior because they're not getting as much light as the outside, right? So again, this is managing growth, and we have to prune back to allow light. So hopefully when I prune this branch up, you'll see just how much more light this branch gets. I don't know if it's actually seeable in the camera there, but obviously even these branches, if I just move these out of the way, you can see the amount of light that picks up. And that's good to keep your interior leaves going, otherwise they will just die. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of branches coming off his backside, but this could definitely do with leaving alone and growing out a little bit there. Now obviously this branch itself is going to be too short, right? So the way you should be looking at a tree, it should be like a triangular shape. It should be coming out like this. Obviously I need to bring this in anyway because of the thickness of the trunk. So it's all about ratios really, with how thick the trunk is, which is probably like finger thick, I'd say. It shouldn't have to be this wide. It should really be about that kind of thing. So I could lose a lot of this branch here. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to keep on cutting and cutting until I get back budding in the place that I want it. Hopefully I can get some branches out of this part of this branch, because I'd say this branch here is pretty much perfect for scale wise. The amount of branch that you can see bare, and then obviously where the branching starts, pretty good. Although I would like to elongate this a little bit, and obviously I'm going to start on this branch now to bring it in a little bit. Branches like this, if I can show you this, and if you can actually see what's going on with this branch. My fingers went away. So you can see this little section here, so you can see 1, 2, 3 leaves, and then there's a little bit of brown there. Don't get me wrong, that's minor, right? It's really minuscule, but that's where there's no back budding. So what's happening there is that's getting shaded out. Leaves never pop from these positions, and instead they pop from these positions. Or the branch has been left to grow too long, and the ones from the interior are no longer. So, like, you know, trees kind of think, this is how trees work, really. They don't think. It's all reaction based, right? So if a leaf isn't getting sun, they'll cut that leaf off. They'll basically starve it of sugars and sap or in water. That leaf will die, and then it can put more energy into the things that are giving it energy back. So the ones on the ends here, for example, are giving far more energy back to the tree than the interior leaves are, especially if they're shaded out. So this is why it's important to keep on pruning, and make sure you aren't shading out these interior leaves, because eventually they'll just die, and then that's when it looks leggy. I wouldn't call that leggy. I can see some buds, so it means that the leaves are going to grow back, but obviously, you know, things like this over here would be leggy. I don't mind doing this because it's going to come off anyway. Say if it's kept on growing and the interior leaves here all died off, even though I just plucked them off, you end up with this, which is quite an ugly thing to see. Even no matter how you bend this or whatever, it's going to look silly. That's kind of what we're working against. And I'm really sorry about this air layer because it is just in the way. Just cut off some of these because there's way too many branches on it already. Okay, so that's where we are right now. As I say, with some wire and stuff, I can manipulate things a little bit better and, you know, make the shape final. But that's the prune in terms of equaling kind of energy and, you know, giving some more light to the tree. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just flick up an image like a still of earlier and now, and see if you can see any difference between some of these branches. I think this one is probably no different because it's still shorter than the one above it. It needs to come out a little bit more. Right, okay, one's grown up too vertical now. It's the next step. So those back branches there, they're starting to elongate, and that's because it's being shaded out by this. I don't know if you can see that. You see that there? So it's these branches here, and watch when I move this. If my arm is out of the way, how much more light they get there. So this is why this needs to come off soon or worse. So when it comes to pruning and stuff, you know, some people are a bit confused about when do they prune. Is there a certain month? Is there a certain time? And obviously, you know, with repotting, right? So repotting best done in spring before everything pushes out completely. And there's a specific reason for that, which, you know, that's repotting, so I won't go into that. I'll prune back a tree depending on its health. So if, like this one, it's been pushing out from all sorts of directions, everything's growing all at once kind of thing, and, you know, it hasn't missed a beat, it's all luscious green, then I'll prune it as soon as I think that it's starting to become a detriment. So again, like I say, when you get when it starts shading out the interior branches, which means that obviously then you're going to lose some of these interior branches possibly, that's the time to prune it. Now if this wasn't healthy, so say if I had loads of yellow leaves going about, and you know, or maybe this branch just itself wasn't looking too good, I wouldn't touch this branch, right? And you can then decide what you want to do. So it's like, okay, I'll come up here and I'll do this branch and do this branch, but I won't do this one. You've got to be kind of logical with it. Otherwise you just end up with even more work to do. So I'm just going to look top down here, and I know this looks really strange for the camera because it's right in your face, but let me bring that back a little bit. So I'm just going to look top down and just see if there's anything still being shaded out completely. And this one is really long, I don't like that. I'll be covering up that branch down there. So the reason why this branch down here is struggling is because obviously, as you can see, if you can't see my scissors, you can't see the branch beneath it. So there's nothing, and that's kind of where it's missing. Now out here, you can see it. So really this branch needs either moving back or forwards, either way. And moving away from that kind of branch, all the one underneath needs to come forward and around. So what I'll probably do is later in the year, wire that one back, wire this one a bit more forward, and that'll kind of give it a bit more light. So this is where we're at. Now if I can move this out of the way. Like it's still very bendy. As I say, that bottom left branch there needs to come out a bit more. All of the levels are a little bit off. And by that I mean, so this one needs to come down a bit, the whole branch. This one probably could come down a bit. This one needs to come out, this one needs to come down a bit. And the apex is kind of to the right. That needs to come over some way. So I'm growing this one as a new one. So yeah, that's that for today. I will be taking this off eventually, probably at the end of summer. See how I get on with that air layer. And we'll revisit this one anyway. I always revisit this end of summer, beginning of autumn. That's the second time I prune it for the year. It gets like another little flush going on, so you know it's good to get a couple of flushes going on per year. I'll just show you a damaged cam. I'll just give you one last spin of this quickly. Very 2D on the back. Needs some filling out there, but I wonder if that's because of this. And there we go.
If you enjoyed today's content, please make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that bell notification. I'll see you soon.